The time has come to drop Haaland. This video won't be a complete Man City devolving into prime Spurs against Spurs, but I definitely will be touching on why I think for the first time this season there are actual places where we will want to reallocate the Haaland funds that we've been stashed away all season in that forward slot. Welcome back, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. Let's talk about Game Week 24 a little bit before we get into the plans that we have for Game Week 25 and what we should be thinking moving forward. Finally, for the first time in what feels like a while, the guys who we feel like should be seeing returns every single week actually did the damn thing this week, especially all the guys that I brought in on my wild card, even Haaland despite his horrendous form. As I just said, I wildcarded last week and saw returns from Gabriel, Timber, Senesi, Bruno, Enzo, Semenyo, João Pedro, and even that lucky Haaland assist from the halfway line. Finally, things went to plan this week. I did see blanks from Rice and Mbeumo and Sanchez, who I personally thought were good picks this week, but going into Game Week 25, they should pan out, and I am expecting them to get on the score sheet. Just quickly about Haaland. As you can see from this graph, his form has dipped pretty dramatically lately, and personally, the question now becomes not if he should be a perma-captain, but if he should even be considered a starter in our FPL teams. If you were to take and look at only the form he is in, I would definitely say he is a transfer to be made this week, especially against the staunch Liverpool defense that has been performing well lately. However, the fact that Man City sit fourth on the fixture ticker over the next 6 games probably shouldn't be ignored. So with that being said, he may not warrant a full transfer out, especially since a lot of us have $500,000 tied up in him, and it would take a wild card or a lot of transfers to properly distribute the cash or bring him back if he does turn around his form when City do face the likes of Fulham, Leeds, Forest, and West Ham in the next 6 games. But what I can say is that if you felt like you have a better option on the bench or a differential you think will do well this week, maybe benching Haaland this week wouldn't be the worst idea. We have seen his price fall from 15.1 mil to 15 mil, and he looks like he could be on the verge of another price drop soon. People are offloading him, with already over 130,000 managers doing so. But it is risky, obviously, and we do play the game to have fun and take risks, so right now it does feel like a potential turning point if you don't have too much rank to lose or just want to have a little fun. If you had Saka, I think the injury he sustained in warm-ups was truly unlucky as we saw Madueke rip it up in his absence. If Saka is out long-term, I think Madueke is a fantastic option as he has an attack-first mentality and is really positive when he gets the ball. He's cheap too. Arsenal do have decent fixtures over the next 5 weeks, and news has just broken that Saka will be out for about 3 weeks, which could take us all the way to Game Week 28 or 29, depending. So in my opinion, Saka is definitely a sell as he will be missing a fair share of games. James Hill looks like a really good option at Bournemouth. He's 3.9 mil, getting DEFCON points, and Bournemouth have a very good clean sheet number recently. Definitely one of, if not the best budget enabler at the moment in defense. Wan-Bissaka last week had 2 assists, but don't count on him for those, and definitely don't count on West Ham to keep clean sheets. Cucurella got a goal despite being benched. If he starts in the next few weeks against the weaker teams that Chelsea are due to play, he will be a really great option for the upper price bracket of defenders. He was in the box constantly and looks to be playing pretty tenaciously for Rezenier. Chelsea do look slightly disorganized defensively though, so clean sheets are an iffy proposition for Cucurella, but Wolves, Leeds, and Burnley all do struggle to get goals, so clean sheet possibility is probably a bit higher over the next 3 games than it would be otherwise. I was worried about Sunderland's defense after losing Xhaka to injury, but they maintained their good form versus Burnley at home. Mukiele definitely the pick of the litter with Dan Ballard not too far behind. Brian Brobby looks good value if you can rotate him at the forward slot. Newcastle United and Sunderland rotate perfectly over the course of the next 6 games. If you had a mind to, you could rotate the likes of Dan Ballard or Mukiele with someone like Bruno G and get really good value out of those 2 picks, being able to play one of them at home every single week. Be careful of rotation risk players over the next week. Game Week 26 will be a midweek game, and so players will have a shorter rest than usual, so it might be beneficial to have a deeper bench or free transfers to use to get some steady transfer targets. Okay, so moving on to game week 25, let's start by looking at Chelsea and Arsenal. Chelsea have great fixtures over the next 3, and if you have them in your team, they are definite holds, even if they are minutes risks like Palmer or Joao Pedro, as the fixtures are just too good to ignore. As for Arsenal, with the win yesterday, which I was not hoping for, they will be doubling in 26 together with Wolves. If Chelsea had won, the double in 26 may have been triple captain material, but now they will have a regular game week and not blank in 31. Arsenal will, however, blank in 31, as will Wolves. Later today, we will see an out-of-form Manchester City take on Newcastle. It's a similar situation for doubling and blanking, but these games will be pushed out rather than moved forward. Whoever wins will be blanking in 31, most likely as well. So expect to navigate benching or transferring out, or even free hitting Arsenal and Man City guys in 31, as well as their opponents, Wolves and Crystal Palace. Man City would then double expectedly in game week 33. Alternatively, if Newcastle beats City, the reverse will be true, and expect to navigate around their blank in 31 versus Sunderland and a possible double in 26 or 27. Some quick transfer targets to look at moving into next week. Chelsea's Joao Pedro looks in great form, and if you have a few transfers saved up, it might be worth going for him, but expect to get rid of him again in 3 to 4 weeks. If Strand Larsen begins to start matches for Crystal Palace, and Palace do turn their form around next week, he could be an option for game week 26, but steer clear this week while things at Palace get ironed out now that the transfer window is closed, and Mateta seems to be getting surgery. Similar story for Ismail Assar. Hopefully they get a pen this week, and we can see who takes it, as I'm not totally convinced Sarr is definitively the first choice taker, despite taking one last week. Mukiele and the rest of the Sunderland defense continues to look good at home. They do play Arsenal and Liverpool in the next 2, so avoid for now, at least until they play Fulham at home in 27. If you're looking to change up your strikers, I do potentially think we are looking at a single striker formation potentially in 25. I may be dropping or selling Haaland in the next week or 2, which should allow me to start one of Ekitike or Bowen, whichever I bring in for him. I don't really think there's good value anywhere else, and even those 2 are a stretch, so it might be best to just go cheap and bulk up the midfield and defense. That being said, Elliot Anderson continues to be a great budget midfielder if you need to stretch your cash. 5.3 million and he gets 4 points plus every single week. Amazing value and just a relatively lower ceiling and less exciting to root for. If you are playing to win, he's a great option, but I think we all want a bit more adventure in our picks, so I personally won't be going for him. Otherwise, the usual suspects of Gabriel, Rice, and Timber are good options if you don't have them. Van Dijk and Liverpool also have been defending well recently, so look to them after they face City this week. Cucurella and Chalobah are good options in defense as well. Raya, Pickford, and Sanchez are good options at keeper, but Kelleher for Brentford continues to get returns, and at only 4.5 million, I think he should have a higher ownership and be a good option to switch to if you want to make a goalkeeper change, especially for Sanchez after this good run of games. Similar story with Joao Pedro and Thiago. Switching them after game week 27 seems to look like a very promising move, despite Thiago's relatively poor form over the last few games. In midfield, look for Enzo Fernandez to be great again this week, as well as his surname cousin, Bruno Fernandes. Cunha and Mbeumo should be able to capitalize on a weak Tottenham defense this week, as well if you wanted to double up on Man U. Palmer is a good option if you have the money. He looks healthy, and they play Wolves, Leeds, and Burnley in the next 3. I'd hold off on Rodgers until game week 27 at least. Madueke is a fun differential, as is Esteval. Pascal Gross has subtly been very good since his return from the Bundesliga, and if you like Brighton's chances in the next few weeks, he could be a fun differential, but in my opinion, Brighton are a bit shit lately, so I wouldn't, despite him likely being on pens and only 5.5 mil. There's just too many good options in that price bracket to warrant bringing him in for anything other than vibes. Similar profiles are one of the Everton trio, Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, Garner, and Njai, Anderson, Alex Scott, and even Zubimendi. The midfield is loaded with good options this year, and I think the best thing you can do is to navigate the fixtures well and have a solid rotation in other parts of your team. Stacking the midfield is the best way to gain points this year, as they earn DEFCON, an extra point for goals and clean sheets, and are generally just better for bonus points all around. You should be starting 5 midfielders every week if you can, so either a 3-5-2 or a 4-5-1 are the preferred formations. And here's a list of the players I think in midfield that you should be considering. I really don't think there is anybody else on this list or outside of this list that you should be going for. Let me know what you think, or if any names should be omitted or added. I will be obviously changing this a little bit, hopefully narrowing it down in the coming weeks, but let me know what you think. All right, well, that does it for this quick Game Week 25 transfer preview. Let me know what you think about the options that I presented. Hopefully you learned something new or are able to kind of help decide on what you wanted to do moving forward, moving into Game Week 25 and beyond, as there are a lot of fixture turns in the next few weeks, especially after Game Week 27. So let me know what you think. Hopefully you did enjoy and learn something. So if you don't mind, hit subscribe and like, and I'll see you in the next video.